Okay, we should be live here. Let me know if we are good to go with the 5x5 in the chat. Tonight, we are looking at, or I'm looking at, I usually say we, but it's just me tonight. I don't expect anyone to join me. I actually do need to send a link over to Mr. Bray here because we are going to be responding to his video right here tonight because, as you know, I am the world's leading expert in debunking exploding microphone theory. So I saw that John posted a 40-minute video about, and in the first opening 10 seconds, he says, this is basically a summary of my theory. So I figured I would come in and do a dedicated live stream to, you know, see what I think. And my goal, my objective tonight is to figure out where the line is between what I would call proper science and what I would call pseudoscience. Where is that line between the stuff that actually is legitimate and the stuff that's just AI slop? So that's what I intend to look at tonight. So let's go ahead and start playing the video, shall we?
Hello and welcome. This is John Bray. This is my special presentation Follow the Epicenter Data, reconciling the things that we witnessed on September 10th around the tent where Charlie was assassinated. Today, I'm focusing things that happened underneath the tent, phenomenon that are ignored, not explained, and these key pieces of evidence are what I think best explain what happened to Charlie that day. So we have clear evidence of Charlie arriving, hopping out of the SUV. He has his entourage around him. He comes out to the fountain courtyard. He is handed hats, merch. He tosses merch out. We see still pictures taken of him all around. The only thing that appears to be underneath his shirt in these photos is his necklace and his cross pendant. We see him.
Okay, that's not true. Okay, let's go ahead and pull this out then. I'm going to pull out this, my special photos here. This is important. That's not true. He says that there's no, the only thing under his shirt is the microphone and the necklace. That's just not true. I'm going to show you why. If I can find my stuff here, we're going to find out why that's not true. Is it in here? Here it is. I think it should be here. We need to escape out of full screen there. And I'm going to show you what's hiding under his belly. This is one of the angles that shows it. If we can get out of full screen mode. So this is one of the angles that shows what's under his belly. We have a massive bulge under his belly right here. So if we go back to Mr. Bray, if I can make him smaller, like so, and pull my photo up and make this small, this could have the potential to be terrific. So we have the belly bulge right here, and I'll take the comments off stage for a second, but this is a belly bulge, and it happens to be pretty close to where the epicenter is, as we can see down here. Whoops. As we can see down here. Like this is the epicenter from John's code on Charlie, and then this is the epicenter on mine. So it has the epicenter down here under the D for freedom, but right here, which is where the cross pendant is. So, you know, I reproduced the exact same thing with something that is located down here. And what do you know? When we go back over to here, we have a belly bulge, something under the shirt that does not look to be belly fat, right? Kind of sort of in the spot where you would need to put something to cause the shirt to jump up like this. You would need something on your belly. You would need something on your belly right here, like we see right here, in order to cause this to come up here. We can't have it over here because that's in the wrong spot. We need it to be down here so that it can move upwards like that, not side to side like this. So I can also show you, if I can find it, there's another image. The which matches Charlie best one. This is it. This is another image. If we had exploding microphone, we would see this. Something like this. It would not be all this energy moving up. If it was cavitation, it would be radial expansion of the neck. Moving out from the, we're seeing a vertical image cutting half of each screen off. Go over to the desktop view for the YouTube. If you're on your phone, it's probably going to push the mobile version, and the mobile version kind of sucks. But if you go exit out of that and go to my channel and go to the desktop version, it will look a lot better. But I don't have a separate background image just for the mobile version right now. So go over to the desktop. It's kind of sort of set up, but not really. So that's why. All right. So like I already have a complaint with John here.
Certain taking of him all around. The only thing that appears to be underneath his shirt and in these photos is his necklace and his cross pendant. We see him circle around the crowd,
under here as well,
tossing hats about.
And I am going to go ahead and send Mr. Bray the link to this, as I said that I would, because we actually have been communicating in Twitter DMs recently. He has opened up that channel, which is great. But we are going to send that over to him real fast in case he would like to join. I don't expect him to join, but if he wants to, he will be able to. So I'm doing that in good faith. All right. So let's proceed. Also, this is pretty cool. Now that I have a few people in here, we will go over something that we're doing for Try and Prove It. This is not a Try and Prove It stream at all. Usually when my channel streams, it's usually Try and Prove It with Kelly, but it's not that tonight. Tonight, it's just me on my channel solo. But I am going to plug a Try and Prove It thing that's going on right now. In the Charlie Kirk investigation community, we have an award show. We did an awards nominations stream last Thursday, and we just published a super cool AI video that's not been published to YouTube yet. We published it to X. Voting is open for that award show, so you should go vote for your favorite creators in this space. But this is the sort of trailer for, and if you want to go vote, go to the Try and Prove It YouTube channel. It's just youtube.com/try and prove it. But this is the trailer for that award show.
In a world full of infighting,
I think this is a pretty cool trailer. I think you will too.
In a world full of infighting, an emblem of peace. Kelly Rayvon and Jordan Henshaw present the Goldies. Nominating James May, most likely to be a federal agent. Stu Peters, nominated for Best YouTube Thumbnail. Miss C Social, Needle in a Haystack nomination. Sugar Smelt, nominated for Best Tech Support. And Gary Melton, the Most Valuable Contribution nomination. Accidentally. And, most importantly, you, Corby Hall, Muppet Masher, Diavarma, Trillion, Blake Bednarz, Real Bays, Brandy and Billy, Louisiana Girl, Jesse on Fire, John Bray. Get crunked and listen, Daily Freddo, Charlie's Angels, Baron Coleman, John from INSEE, and Wolves in Finance. But wait. You have to subscribe to vote, and vote you shall. Or else.
Okay, so that is just a brief plug for Try and Prove It. You should definitely go over and vote. I just put the link to vote in the chat, and I'll put that back on stage here. But this is the link that I just posted, so you can go vote for your favorite creators, and that would be terrific if you voted. And you're not allowed to vote unless you subscribe to Try and Prove It. We really need to get the subs on Try and Prove It up, so you're not allowed to vote. If you go vote, but you are not subscribed to Try and Prove It, then Santa Claus is not going to come to your town this year. So if you are going to vote, or you intend to vote, you're going to vote, you're even thinking about voting, you have to subscribe to Try and Prove It. This is not a Try and Prove It broadcast, though, but I like to plug Try and Prove It. Anyways, we're going to get back to John Bray here. All right.
We see him get mic'd up, and then he sits down.
So this is the exact microphone. This is the exact shirt as well. The only difference is I had the text printed by Graphic Goat. Charlie did get his shirt from Graphic Goat, but we know that Graphic Goat did not print the custom text on it because it has the Graphic Goat logo in the background or on the back collar of the shirt, which means it was a sample order, which is interesting. Why would you buy one of these special nice Carhartt Force Sun Defender shirts from a custom print house, but not get custom print on it? But they apparently did that. I guess they used a local or in-house shop to get the text printed on it. I don't know why, but that's apparently what they did. But anyways, I'm wearing the exact microphone and the exact same shirt. Carhartt Force Sun Defender, 100% polyester. The only difference is mine is the only other difference is mine is a little bit too big on me. This is the large size. I'm 6'2", so but what I actually needed was the medium size, I think. Yeah, I think I need a medium, and I did get a medium, but I burned that on a Try and Prove It stream, so I don't have that one anymore. So, yeah, here we go.
On his platform, and he starts to take questions. We can see as he starts to take questions, he's addressing the crowd. The microphone's mounted underneath his right collarbone. It's 44 by 45 millimeters by 18 millimeters thick, and it's mounted on its side.
Is that the right? I'm not sure that's the correct one, at least to what I have. Oh, I guess it is. I suppose it could be. The I'm just curious about what is this part here. I guess it's the little, there's a little rounded lip right there, which I guess is that part. So, all right, no issue there.
4 by 45 millimeters by 18 millimeters thick, and it's mounted on its side. It's an awkward bulge underneath his shirt collar, and it seems to be a little bit uncomfortable to him. You see him adjust it and kind of move his shirt around.
Yes, this is true. Like, even if I kind of walk around a little bit, kind of like throw hats that way, kind of, and then sit down. All right, what do we have here? Now it's kind of like awkward, like that. That's not how it's supposed to sit. So even how we see this in,
you see him adjust it and kind of move his shirt around. The most important detail is that
very normal for this type of microphone, though. So even right now, I just basically bumped it, and it's already back to this weird position. So you really do kind of have to adjust it every once in a while, because if it doesn't sit flat on your chest or on your collarbone, it's kind of uncomfortable. So that's just how the microphone sits. That's just how the microphone sits.
That is clear.
And I'm not saying he's not saying that, but just for your information.
Clearly visible. It's a very obvious bulge underneath his shirt, and it's very easy to spot because it has a black rectangular magnetic clasp that holds it. So let's get familiar with the Rogue Pro wireless microphone. I have one right in front of me. So this is the case for it.
Okay. Yeah, I have this as well. Right here. Here is the case. Boom.
You can see it's roughly square. It's pretty thick. It's ABS plastic, and then the clip just adheres with a simple pin. Is all that holds it onto the body. Inside the microphone, we have a rubber spacer, so that basically holds the battery in place. So this is the very back of the microphone.
What happened to my rubber spacer? I don't know where my rubber spacer went. I have this part, and I have the circuit board, but I don't know what happened to my spacer. I think I don't know what happened to that. Yeah, I don't know, but that part's not terribly important.
You have basically the battery and the rubber spacer, and that is what is against the back face of the microphone, basically against that clip. And then on top of that goes the circuit board. And so that's the basic configuration of what's in the microphone. The wires connected to the circuit board, obviously. And so that's kind of what's sandwiched inside that body of the microphone. On the outside of the microphone, this is the magnetic clasp that we see clipped to the shirt. And so that's the actual object that we see on the outside of Charlie's shirt. And then after the bulge of the case disappears, all we see left clipped to his shirt is this magnetic clasp and this clip. The bulk of the case around it that's connected with this pin disappears, turns into fragmentation. The face of the
hold on.
All we see left clipped to his shirt is this magnetic clasp and this clip. The bulk of the case around it that's connected with this pin disappears, turns into fragmentation.
Okay, objection states facts, not in evidence. That is not in evidence. There's no. We still see the frame, the shape of the microphone causing the same type of deformation to the shirt after the supposed detonation. So let me go into this view here and show you what I mean. If I can pull this up, and be very careful about what I do and do not show of this, because this is in the red zone as far as stuff we can't show on YouTube. But I'll be very careful here. I can show you this part here. So this is my video editing thing where I have all these things synced up, but I have to be really careful right now or else I'll get censored. So I'm going to try to find the part where we can see the stuff, where we can see the microphone still causing that shirt deformation with its body. I think this is a decent example. But I can't really show it on screen because it's YouTube. Well, okay. He is welcome and able to join this live right now. I was in contact with him earlier today. Or actually not terribly long ago, I was in contact with him. And he knows I'm doing the stream tonight. And he actually does have the StreamYard link. So if he is able and willing to come into the stream, he very well may. I'm trying to find a really good frame that shows the microphone, and I am finding it. The whole body of the microphone after the shot goes, if the microphone exploded, you would not expect to see it able to do stuff like this anymore. And we do have a shot where it kind of makes the F for freedom disappear. I'm going to try to replicate that by putting this in the right spot. Maybe right here. And I believe I can get the F in freedom to disappear if I play it right. That's not correct. Maybe I have to do this. There's a specific way to fold this to get the F to disappear, and it does disappear. And I know that Kelly would say this is evidence of CGI, and she's more than welcome to say that, but I think it's most likely due to this microphone being not square up against the chest. I'm going to try to demonstrate that here very shortly. And the reason we're doing this is because John Bray has made the claim that the whole thing disappears or is blown to smithereens as soon as the thing blows up, as soon as the shot goes. Right, now that's in the right spot. And I think I can maybe get the F to disappear now. Hey, there we go. Not really, but that's basically what I think is happening on Charlie in some of these frames. And this would not work. You would not be able to get the F to disappear like that if the whole body had exploded, because this would all be gone. Like, it wouldn't have the same thickness. But I can't really show you the clip, unfortunately, because this is YouTube. All right, let me check this real fast. All right, so we are going to go ahead and continue. All right, let's talk about the chair. The chair. CGI is 100% certain on the chair through the table video. We did do the one stream on it. Let me pull that up. You know, I'm not going to pull that up. I don't need to pull that up. Let me just pull up the video itself. Let me pull up this video, like the actual 4K video. But hold on. Let's go into here. And let's go into stage right 4K. All right, we can do this part. Let's do this part here, real fast. All right, into here, and add this to stage. All right, let's watch the chair. Let's watch the chair and see whether or not it does or does not morph through anything. It's not morphing through anything yet. Okay, here we go. And there we go. Okay, all makes sense so far. And we're going to continue tracking it. And this looks like Erica, by the way. Kind of. That could be Erica almost. It's not, but it kind of looks like her. But yeah, I don't see any evidence that the chair morphed through anything. Like, it just doesn't. So I think maybe people saw the other video from, maybe they saw this video and it's less clear in this video. Oops, I can't show that. Oh, hold on. There we go. Let me see if I can find it in that video. I can't find it in that video right now. But let's get back to John, shall we? Yeah, I think that's because the other video is not as high quality. I think that's what's going on. All right, back to John Bray here.
The face of the Rogue Wireless Pro. This is the actual plastic ABS case, and the glass is broken off of it, and it's adhered with a sticky kind of like a adhesive, right? You can still see some of the glass is stuck to it.
Mine doesn't
And
have
then
any
this
glass
is
stuck
what
to it, but this might.
the remnants of it look like, kind of broken, shattered pieces of black glass. I know it's for sure glass because I've taken it to a propane stove and I've heated it till it was red hot, and the black paint melts off, and the glass, once it cools down, it's perfectly fine. So it's not acrylic or anything of that nature. It's not a polymer. It's glass.
Oh, okay. Well, that would be news to me. I'll have to repeat the same test. I had always thought of it as plastic, but if that is the case, hold on. Do I have my lighter up here? Let's see if I have my lighter up here. Where is my lighter? I need my lighter right now. I need my lighter. Oh, I found it. And now I need something to hold it with. Hold on. I need something to hold this with. Maybe not. Maybe I can just pinch it and just suck it up. All right, let's try this. Ooh. Hmm. Okay, let's see what happened here. How is it? Has thou melted? It is not melted. It's not melted. So that could be accurate. I'll have to do a better test later, but it didn't like immediately melt. So that would be a point in the direction of glass.
How can we fathom the possibility that a modified explosive device could be hidden within a working Rogue Pro?
I don't know why he keeps saying rogue. It is pronounced road with a D. But anyways.
Wireless microphone that Charlie was mounted with that day. And it was not a year before September 10th that we know that a operation against Hezbollah was carried out by Mossad, where they modified pagers that Hezbollah purchased and walkie-talkies with remote detonation devices, and they detonated them one after another using basically a hack cell phone infrastructure. So pretty high level.
Yeah, this is correct. But the characteristics of that explosion were grossly inconsistent with what we observed on Charlie Kirk. And just because that type of weapon exists doesn't necessarily mean that this thing must have exploded. Like, we got to be careful just because, like, yes, I understand that you can put stuff in electronics and that is a known tactic, but that doesn't automatically mean that any weird thing that happens under someone's shirt must be one of those devices, because we have the belly photo, we have this belly photo, and if I remove the chat, you'll be able to see it. We have other stuff under the shirt as well. We have this belly bulge. It's not belly fat. So there's other stuff under the shirt that can also explain what happened to Charlie Kirk.
Um, means to remotely detonate devices across a group of individuals that were highly suspicious of these type devices being procured by them. So when they did purchase these pagers, they had bomb dogs smell them. They had airport scanners scan them. They had electronic experts take them apart and look at them. And they were cleared as being ready to use. So the thesis that Charlie could have had a working rogue mic that no one was aware had a modified explosive device in it is proven. We have within 365 days of the event, we have a working model of it. Most importantly,
So,
we
what I'll
have
say to that is a lot of these arguments are, we know this stuff exists, and some of the stuff that we see, he's just making the case that because the Hezbollah stuff didn't trigger, it's an okay argument. You're anticipating objections, and that's fine. You're anticipating the objections.
very prideful.
Oh, they would have heard, or it would have alerted the dogs. I'm not making that case necessarily, so it doesn't really apply to my analysis, to my reaction. But it is a valid, it's valid for anticipating those objections.
Boastful group of individuals that tell us that it's not only a possibility, that it's a reality, that these sort of modified devices are in every country around the world. So we don't have to speculate.
Okay, well, that's not in evidence. We don't know that they're in every country. I know that there's the one video of an Israeli person saying that, but we only have one example of this being deployed, so we don't really know how common they are. But what I want people to understand is that this is, right now, we're not looking at evidence of an explosive on Charlie Kirk. We're just anticipating objections to the argument, to the theory, but we haven't had the theory established yet. So we need direct evidence that it was an explosive before we start anticipating objections. And I don't want people to think that just because he can anticipate objections means his theory is correct.
Speculate on the possibility, because we've been told directly that it's a reality. And in that reality, we have examples of what they look like and what they sound like. And we're going to go over those and listen to them and decide with our own eyes and ears if what we saw on September 10th matches what we have examples of.
Pages, walkie-talkies. Do you know how many treated equipment do we have in these countries?
Yeah, so there's this clip, but it's just someone saying something. I don't have evidence that this claim is true.
You don't. I do.
You mean
I do.
You mean booby-trapped equipment?
Not only booby-trapped.
And spying?
Manipulated equipment. All right?
In which countries you're talking about? In
all the countries that you can imagine.
So now that we have established...
Hold on, though. Let's see. What did this dude actually say?
equipment.
You don't. How many
10th matches what we have examples of.
Pages, walkie-talkies. Do you know how many treated equipment do we have in these countries? You don't. I do.
You mean
I do.
You mean booby-trapped equipment?
Not only booby-trapped.
And spying? You mean
I do.
You mean booby-trapped equipment?
Not only booby-trapped.
And spying?
Manipulated equipment.
Okay. He says, I don't know that he says not only booby-trapped. Then he accentuates
trapped equipment.
Not only booby-trapped.
And spying?
Manipulated equipment.
He accentuates manipulated. So I would take that to mean that not all of these are actual explosive devices. A lot of these are spying devices. They just put spyware on stuff. So I think that's important to consider. Like, that's what he's actually saying is not that all of these in every single country is an explosive device. A lot of this is probably just spyware.
All right.
In which countries you're talking about? In
all the countries that you can imagine.
So now that we have established that not only is it a possibility, but it's a reality, that there's modified devices, electronic devices all over the world with the possibility of having listening and tracking devices, but most likely explosive devices also. Why would these individuals?
This is a good question right here that has never been answered by the correct party. John Bray, as far as I know, has no professional credentials relating to explosives, so he's not qualified to answer that question unless he's had personal experience with Petton. And I do not believe he's ever handled any explosive beyond an over-the-counter firework from Walmart. So I don't know the answer to that. Will Petton leave burn or cause smoke? Leave burns or cause smoke? I don't know. You can look at the YouTube videos of it, and it seems like it absolutely causes burning and smoke, but in such a small quantity, I don't know, and neither does John Bray. And that is, you would expect it to cause burns and smoke. And there is some smoke. I can actually show you some smoke. Let's look at some of the smoke. I just made a video showing the smoke. So this is, it was on Charlie. Pretty faint. Very small little cloud. So we actually do have some smoke on Charlie that day. So that's worthy of mention. So there's a little bit of smoke or possibly condensation. So that's important to know. But I would absolutely expect any if there's an explosive that's big enough to kill you mounted right here, then I would expect it to burn the shirt. Whatever, regardless of what John Bray has to say. Because he's not an explosives expert. He's not any more privy to how explosives work than I am.
Want to target Charlie Kirk. And I think we have provenance for that. Okay. So we have Charlie Kirk that's obviously breaking away from the Zionist influence, and we have the Zionists desperate to gain control and influence over the younger generation, the very demographic that Charlie was reaching. So we can see now that we have the very group that claims that they have modified devices all over the world. We have a very highly influential Charlie Kirk that's breaking away from these Zionists. And we have the Zionists desperate to gain a foothold in the hearts and minds of the very demographic that Charlie was reaching. So now that we have established the motive and the means.
Okay. How did you establish the motive? We would need to verify that that screenshot was authentic. We don't know if that's authentic or not, number one. Number two, that doesn't necessarily mean that they would do this. Like, we have a lot more work to do before we say, okay, we've established motive.
Let's look at the actual event and try to explain the phenomenon that we saw, especially explain the things that are being clearly left out by other parties, especially the official narrative. So to me, the most unexplained phenomenon that we have to reconcile if we want to understand what happened to Charlie that day are the shirt, the movement of the shirt, the necklace, the snapping and trajectory around, up and around his head of the necklace, and the microphone, the mystery of the bulge, the movement, and the fragmentation. We have to explain these three phenomenon because they're not easily explained by a rifle impact to the neck. If anything, they can't be explained by a 30-06 impact to zone 2 of the left of Charlie's neck. So they're often left out. And instead, what we get is the evidence put forth in such a way that we're to infer that Tyler Robinson is absolutely guilty. So we don't look at the details of what actually happened underneath the tent, because if we actually looked at what happened underneath the tent without the scope of the open and shut case of a 30-06, it becomes apparently clear that what we witnessed can't be explained by videos.
Okay, so my complaint is we're 10 minutes into this video and we still have not presented any evidence that the microphone exploded. So let's try to get to that.
Of that day. It's the very first
There you
thing
go.
that escape of the actual people that recorded them, the original files. We see gas escaping from the front of Charlie's shirt. It's the very first thing that that has to be reconciled.
I don't know that I necessarily agree with that. I mean, of course, I think that that is the case, but I'm not necessarily sure that is in it, that is in evidence. I'm going to take this off the screen now so I can pull up that clip safely, and I'm going to show you why I don't necessarily know that we have that in evidence. Let's see his video again. I think that's a different video. I'm not sure what exact video that is that he has, so I can't pull it up right now. I wish I knew exactly which video that was, but it's okay. All right. So that very well could be gas escaping from the shirt.
So the gas is escaping across his chest and out of the left front collar of his shirt. The very next frame we see.
Well, hold on. I don't necessarily know that to be the case, and that is because there is contrast. The way this code works, it highlights the movement of stuff that it can see moving. A white shirt, a bare white shirt, is kind of hard to tell if it's moving. So it has a strong bias towards areas of the shirt that have stronger contrast. So the collar will have more contrast, especially around bare skin. The sleeves will have more contrast, especially around bare skin. So you would expect to see hotspots congregating more towards the edges where we have that contrast and around the text. And we wouldn't necessarily assume that that is vapor escaping or anything like that unless we can look out of this view and into the normal color version to determine if there's actually something escaping.
Left front collar of his shirt. The very next frame we see is his back collar bulging out, and it's a bulge that can only be from expanding gas because there's no flesh behind it. There you see his neckline clearly, and you see the shirt blown out like someone's blowing compressed air into it, and you
Exactly, right? Anybody? Come on, man.
you see his skin and his hair react from the gas also. So we can't say that this is cavitation of flesh because we would see the flesh movement. We wouldn't see
You don't call that flesh movement?
the surface of his skin on the opposite side of the impact showing waves of deformation from expanding gas, along with his hairline, his ears, his chin. Everything in and around the front right collarbone area is showing signs of a rapidly expanding gas.
Videos of skydivers. Really? Let's look at some videos of skydivers, shall we? Skydivers. Let's see if we can see the same stuff. That might be AI. That might be fake. Let's go to YouTube. Ooh, Honey gets terminated as lawsuits proceed. Wow. After this stream, go check out this video. I didn't realize that that had come out. This is going to go viral pretty much automatically. But anyways, skydiving, skin win. Maybe this will be good. Oh, come on. Let's see. It's kind of hard to tell. It definitely does have some stuff going on. But yeah, that's definitely a good suggestion for when we're not right in the middle of the stream.
And that can't be explained by a rifle impact to the left side of his neck.
So what I say about that, did he call me out? No, but actually quite the opposite. I'm actually on his good side now, apparently. But what I talk about here is how the back of the necklace remains undisturbed pretty deep into the sequence. So if this were neck cavitation, we would not expect the back of the necklace to remain undisturbed on the back of the neck. We would expect it to be out like that. And we would also expect to see, if I can find it, this one, we would expect to see this stuff, not if it were exploding mic. Okay, so if it were cavitation, we would expect to see this. If it were exploding microphone, we would expect to see this. But if it were the pendant gun, we would expect to see this. And what do we see? What do we see, guys? What do we see? So it appears to be the pendant gun, not cavitation, and not exploding microphone. All right. Back to John Bray.
Combine the expanding gas, the bulging shirt, with the snapping of the necklace at the area that was directly underneath where the microphone was mounted, we're left with another kind of indication of a high energy discharge that was powerful enough to snap a necklace and send it flying up and over his head. And it's important to note that this trajectory is the opposite side of his body, and it's going around the
get that in here
and send it flying up and over his head. And it's important to note that.
Hold on. I'm going to try to show you that frame where we can see that the microphone is still intact after the supposed detonation.
Was powerful enough to snap a necklace and send it flying up and over his head. And it's important to note.
Okay, so in this frame, we can kind of see it. Number one, all this energy is moving directly up, like that, kind of like this. Like all the energy is moving up. It's not moving like that. It's not this. It's not that. It's not just the collar being pulled up. It is the D for freedom being pulled up almost higher than the collar. I was in the spaces with John the other night, maybe a week ago, and he was making the case that it was just the collar coming up. But the collar, like that's not what's going on right there, I don't think. And it's certainly not this part of the collar. Like that doesn't give you that deformation. No event starting over here is going to cause this, which is more or less what we see, kind of like that. It's kind of hard to do it, but I have it on. I have it right there. I have it right here. I've done better tests with the actual freedom text on it, but anyways.
Note that this trajectory is the opposite side of his body, and it's going around the opposite way that you would expect if a 30-06 impact was responsible for it, even if you could fathom that the cavitation or whatever mechanism you're trying to use to explain how a 30-06 impact to the left neck causes a necklace to break underneath the right collarbone and fly up and over the right shoulder and end up resting on the back of the left shoulder. You still have to explain how there's enough concentrated energy to break the necklace right underneath where the microphone was mounted.
It would certainly help to have one of these things in the belly bulge, right? Because it's in the right spot. Can put it right here, or maybe kind of like, I don't have it perfect, but if you have this device in the belly bulge over here, guess what? Now you can do that, have it in your belly bulge, and guess what? Boom. Now it can come up the right way. We have the belly bulge, guys. We can put whatever we want in the belly bulge to try to figure out, to try to reproduce, to try to reverse engineer what happened to Charlie Kirk. So let's put some stuff in the belly bulge, right?
Directly after the frames where we see the necklace snap and take it
Oh, the left armpit. I don't know that to be the case. The reason is you might be saying that because there were some hot spots around the sleeve in some of this motion highlighter code, but that's not necessarily happening because there's anything actually different about the sleeve or any gas escaping the sleeve. It's most likely just because that's an area of contrast, and that allows the motion highlighting code to work better. It prefers high contrast elements because it's a lot easier to see that those are moving. So let me put that back up. I meant to put that one up. So not necessarily if you're talking about the motion like heat map code.
trajectory, we see the microphone make a strange series of movements. And these movements are important because they clearly.
So if you were in, I wish John was in here, but is this before or after the alleged explosion? I'm not sure. I wish I knew.
And these movements are important because
if that were after, then his whole theory is completely debunked.
They clearly show
because it's still intact. If it had exploded, it would have exploded.
That the bulk of the microphone case is gone. We see the magnetic clasp take a 90-degree turn. It's still connected to his shirt. So any movement of the magnetic clasp should correlate with movement of the 44 by 45 by 18 millimeters.
Is this after? See, this is what I was trying to show you earlier, right here. We still have the entire form of the body of the mic. So we still have basically this entire thing like clearly under the shirt. So it didn't explode, right? Right?
Millimeter case that it was connected to. And what we see is the magnetic clasp making a 90-degree turn with no evidence of that bulk of the case still attached to it underneath the shirt. We don't see the bulge turning with the clasp. So the only thing that you can reconcile that with is that the moment that the necklace snapped, the microphone case was compromised. And we basically, from that.
But the microphone case wasn't compromised, John. You just showed us that, remember?
We still need connected to. No, okay. What we 45.
Is the microphone case compromised? Is that microphone case compromised? No, it is not compromised. So I don't know what we're talking about here.
By that you can reconcile that with is that
microphone case is not compromised. That microphone case, there's no evidence that that microphone case exploded.
The moment that the necklace snapped.
There's actually evidence to the contrary. The fact that it did not explode.
The microphone case was compromised, and we basically, from that moment forward, all we had connected to Charlie's shirt was the clip and the magnetic clasp, and that's what allowed it to make a 90-degree turn without turning the bulge with it. That allows it to later fold over on itself where we can't see the magnetic clasp in the angles from the front of Charlie. And it also allows it to basically make a 90-degree fold when we see from the back angle Charlie start to slump out of the chair. So for us to reconcile the shape before the event underneath the shirt and the shape after itself and flying out from the area where we see the case mounted on Charlie, the same trajectory that we see the gas escaping. and we see.
And by the way, the gas escaping is also consistent with fake death theory with the CO2 spinning gun.
The similar trajectory away.
It's just that we actually have the right trajectory with, because we can put this device here. Like, this is a much better device. So, hold up. Do I have the ability to activate this? I might. Hold on. I think I actually do. No, I don't. Wait. No, I don't have the ability to activate it, unfortunately. Actually, hold on. Can I activate this? I just might be able to, actually. Hold on. I don't think this is on right now. This does not appear to be on. So I don't think I can activate it that way, unfortunately. Yeah, I can't activate it right now. But you just put this device and you have it in the right spot so that you can have all the energy come up like this. And we have the belly bulge photo. For anyone just joining us, why can we put this on the belly? It's because we have the belly bulge photo. It's the belly bulge. We can put a much better device if we want expanding gas, if we want it to be going directly up. We got the belly bulge photo and we got the CO2 pinning gun. Why do we want to have a CO2 pinning gun? Because we want to cut a prosthetic.
From Charlie, a link of the necklace breaking and flying away. So when we combine that with the evidence of later seeing fragmentation on the table and then in the SUV where they took Charlie to the hospital, it becomes apparently clear that we witnessed a catastrophic failure of the case of the Rogue microphone. So to reconcile the failure of the Rogue microphone case, we have to explain how that much energy can be concentrated in such a small area. And if we're seeing that much energy displaced that it can snap a necklace, destroy a microphone case, and send his shirt ballooning out from the expanding gas.
So you want a highly concentrated energy in one spot close to the pendant on the necklace. How about this? What do you think about this? This is some pretty highly concentrated energy. And we even have this little solenoid here, which is capable of releasing that energy very quickly. So why don't we just do that? That'd be pretty cool, yeah?
And send shockwaves to his body. It has to be captured in not just visual evidence. It must be in audio evidence also. And we have clear indications of that. It's hidden because the audio recordings do record a mock cone of a supersonic projectile sweeping over the crowd.
He likes to talk about the N-wave stuff. I've never been able to find an N-wave. Why don't we actually pull that up, though? Let me see if I can pull it up real fast. And we can see whether or not there's actually an N-wave. So let's go into, I guess, the stage rate 4K. Let's open with other Adobe Audition. Let's see if we can get that to open up. Maybe it doesn't want to. Maybe I just have to open Audition and then drag and drop it in. Adobe Audition. It usually opens up pretty fast. All right, here we go. We're going to move this into here. All right, let's see if we can find the crack thump. I'm going to guess that it's over here. Great. Okay, here it is. All right, let's see if we can find an N-wave. This is the kind of stuff you get on my channel and on Try and Prove It. Like, let's just try and prove it, yeah? All right. Oops. No, I don't want you to. Can you please come out? You know how. This thing is impossible to use. I hate it. Great. Okay, zoom back into that, please. It's right here. So this is your wave. And And I understand this is compressed. So actually, why don't we have some better audio that he actually sent me. So maybe we can look at that real fast. But I don't see an N-wave in this one, at least. There's no N-wave here. Does anyone see an N-wave? I guess this could be an N-wave. This is kind of N-wave-y, but I wouldn't necessarily call that an N-wave. Let's see where exactly this is. I guess that could be an N-wave, but we have a lot of stuff before that, so I don't think it would be. But we can open up some other stuff, though, that John actually sent me directly. That is apparently the stuff from the UVU review camera. So let's pull that in. This is the stuff John sent. Okay. Let's see if we have an N-wave here. This could be an N-wave. Ooh, that actually kind of is N-wave. Oh, can you see? This is kind of N-wavy. Yeah. Wow. Okay. I think I would actually agree that this is an N-wave. Very cool. Yeah, I would say that that is a pretty strong N-wave. We are actually making the letter N. So, all right, that's pretty cool. But we don't have the N-wave in the other ones. But that's very cool. Thank you, John, for providing that. All right, back to John.
But in between the mock cone sweeping over the crowd and the muzzle blast from that projectile reaching the crowd, there is a acoustic phenomenon from the tent that's recorded by all the cameras of that day that fall within 10 milliseconds of the mock cone passing by. So we have a 3 acoustic event, one of those acoustic events originating from the tent, when in reality, if we were to believe the official narrative, we should have a 2 acoustical event, and they both should originate from the area where the rifle was shot.
Okay, so here is my complaint to John Bray about this. He has now changed, or I don't know if he made a change or not, or if he just hasn't talked about it before, but he now says that there was a gunshot, there was a real bullet moving down range, but I think he says it went into the van, which is Allgeist's theory. Okay, if your mission objective is to kill Charlie Kirk, why don't you just shoot him? Why don't you just shoot him? If you want the dude dead, if that's what you woke up this morning to do, and you have a Mauser 98, or an AR, a fold AR, whatever the case may be, a firearm, a rifle on the Lozy roof or anywhere with line of sight to Charlie, with line of sight to the van, why in God's name would you pick the van if you want Charlie dead? Doesn't make any sense, man. Then you just have people move out of the way. Burkana says maybe because it could hurt others too. You just pick a smaller caliber, or you shoot him dead center of the chest, or you just have people move out of the way, or park a vehicle right behind it or something. Or you probably don't care anyways, because if you're going to kill Charlie Kirk like that, like you're already morally compromised. Who cares if someone else gets hurt? If you're that low in morality.
So when we compare the audio that we have from September 10th, from all the sources in and around Charlie, and compare it to examples of high order explosives and 30-06 shots. It becomes clear that hearing a combination of both of those. So the analysis that shows that we have a mock cone and a muzzle blast along with a third acoustic event from underneath the tent, what we hear aligns with that data. This low frequency event from the area of the tent was difficult to detect. If you look at the cameras that were recording the event around Charlie, they're cell phone cameras, they're compressed audio, and the cameras themselves suffer clips from the high amplitude of the audio from the mock cone. So they're basically distorted from the mock cone and recovering from that distortion when the low frequency event from the tent arrives.
He has a lot of help from AI. I don't know that he has. Well, okay. Yeah, he has. I don't know if he gets help from any humans. I know he gets a lot of help from AI, though. But there's someone else who I know definitely gets help from other humans, and they don't give them credit.
Arrives at the microphones on each of the camera angles. However, we have a professional uncompressed audio track, 4 of them from a UVU camera that was 45 meters away from the tent. And this provides 2 unique opportunities in that the audio is uncompressed. There's 4 channels of it. So we have 4 different independent microphones picking up audio. So that eliminates the idea of artifacts of distortion. And it's 45 meters away from the tent. So there's a larger delta in between when the mock cone passes that UVU camera and when that low frequency event from the tent arrives at that camera.
Oh, so this is what is this? What is this?
And that gives us a
hold on. What is that? I want to see what that is, because that's kind of similar to what my code does, but it's in Blender. I wish I knew where that thing was, but the site is so long. I want to see where that video game thing is. Let's see if we can find it. Where's your video game thing? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Does it make it clear?
better resolution.
UVU, UCCU center, full scene camera cluster, stage detonator. Hold on. Where is this? Is this it? No, this isn't it. Where's that animation? Do 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 do. Do 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 do. I don't know where that animation is. Explainer video? No. Overview? No. Evidence? Verify? I wish I knew where that was. I want to play with that.
Frequency event from the tent arrives at that camera.
I'm going to take a screenshot and see if... hold up. I just DM'd that to him to ask. So this is interesting. What are we seeing here?
And it's 45 meters away from the tent. So there's a larger delta in between when the mock cone passes that UVU camera and when that low frequency event from the tent arrives at that camera.
So these are all of our microphones. Then we have our mock cone, which is correctly shaped. So I guess this circle is the I don't know what this circle is. Maybe that's, I don't know what this circle is. It's saying that's the Strudel tone. Okay. Then that's the detonation. So if that's the detonation, then why do we not pick up that in the microphone?
And that gives us.
And wouldn't it be the same frequencies? I've heard people say that the frequencies of any of these explosives is going to be very easy to find in the audio, and I don't know that anyone has
a better resolution of that exact frequency. It's not muddy waters like the cameras that are much closer to the tent. The mock cone and the low frequency event from the tent arrive at such a small window that it's very hard to differentiate between the frequencies. But the UVU camera is further away and has uncompressed audio, so it's given us the ability to uniquely detect and isolate that frequency. So now we have audio evidence of a high energy device causing the failure of the microphone case. We have evidence.
But there was no failure of the microphone case. We still have the microphone case under the shirt. You just showed us that.
That explains the movements of Charlie's shirt, the wound pattern.
It doesn't explain the movement of Charlie's shirt. The shirt comes up here like this, but we don't see that. How do you do that from over here? You need something under here with the belly bulge.
And the actual projectile that caused the wound of his neck. Do we have any evidence of Howard explosive? And we clearly do. We have from two different angles. We see the gas escaping from the front of his shirt.
Okay, so that's consistent with fake death theory.
Shirt collar, which I mentioned before. But we also see the gas billowing out from that same area in the angle that Candace Owens released from behind Charlie.
You have gas coming out here?
So we
I don't know that is evidence of gas coming out.
The very beginnings of the gas escaping from the side, and we see the later stages of the gas kind of dissipating from the shirt from the back. In addition to this, from the other angle, from the right side of Charlie, we see a shock wave that basically causes distortion of all the people in the crowd right around Charlie's neck. And in the frames after that, we see a very powerful shockwave travel across Charlie's flesh around the area of his collarbone and his neck.
But that's also consistent with fake death theory, because when this thing goes off, and I can show you that warpage. Let's see some of that warpage, yeah? I will show you exactly how I know. It's over here. This is the lollipop video that I have. If I can find it. If you have enough gas coming out, you get the same neck warpage. Kinda, sorta. Not completely, but kinda, sorta. Because it's 800 psi gas. It's a lot of gas. At very high pressure. So you do expect to see that. And you do see that. Is this it? No, that's not it. This is it, right here. So you see how my skin is kind of warping there? It's kind of hard to tell, but there definitely is some warpage there. and my hair flies out the same way Charlie's does. Although maybe not quite as fast. But this is 60 FPS, I think. But you can see how my neck kind of warps. And this is, of course, a CO2 pendant gun. But, you know, that's to say that this stuff happening to his skin is not necessarily from an explosion or from cavitation of the neck. Richard Johnson says, how did they aim the mic projectile shape charge if Charlie was touching the mic the entire time like this? That already proves this is bendable. Why would they chance that the mic would move and not kill? Exactly. Yeah, I wish John could come on here and explain why that's not a problem, but he does have the link to the StreamYard. So he is capable. Oh, he's typing right now. So he's capable of coming on, but I don't know if he's available. I don't know, but he's welcome to come on.
So much so that it distorts the shape of his face, where it's almost unrecognizable, and it happens within a split second. It's just a frame or two that we see it, and then it's gone. And now that we have the medical examiner's report showing the extensive damage done to areas all over Charlie's body, we have further evidence that we witnessed a high order explosive discharge on Charlie's chest.
So what I'm seeing here is he has two pieces of evidence. So most of the stuff here has just been anticipating objections. We're just anticipating objections. We're anticipating the objection of, oh, they would have found it in the metal detectors. And okay, we have a rifle shot overhead, which, you know, fits fake death theory far better. None of this stuff. We are at 22 minutes. We're at 23 minutes into this. And the only two pieces of evidence in support of fake death, in support of exploding microphone theory, is vapor coming out of the collar. Hello, excuse me. And the skin warpage, which I've been able to reproduce. So we have the skin warpage right here that I've been able to reproduce. Skin warpage. And then we also have the thing that I posted the other day, which demonstrates that, you know, I have white vapor coming out as well. Okay, so this is the video, right? We have the stage right for cloud of vapor, which is, so I have the vapor too. So his only two pieces of evidence in support of his theory are also in support of mine. And I can demonstrate mine, but he can't demonstrate his, as far as I know. So
now that we have clear evidence of the audio showing the 3 frequency event.
Let me see if he has, okay, he got back to me. Perfect. He's in my DMs here. He says the clip that I wanted. Aha, this is what I wanted. Do play. Can I make this full screen? You can see this, right? Yeah. How do I make this full screen? Maybe zoom out? Nope. Maybe I can zoom out. Maybe if I do this. It's not sizing correctly for some reason. Oh, there we go. There we go. Now it's working. All right, let's play this out. Okay, that's too fast. Can I slow it down? Slow scan. There we go. So this is pretty nice. This is, I don't know if I can pull up my version right now. Maybe I can, but I can maybe pull up my version of this. Do I have any of these playing right now? No, I don't have any of these playing right now. But usually, yeah, I don't have that one set up right now, but that's okay. But mine does basically the exact same thing, only it's 3-dimensional, and I don't think this is 3-dimensional. Yeah, mine's 3-dimensional, and that is important because, you know, if you want to see whether or not it went over the Hall of Flags or into the van, you kind of need the 3 dimensions. And, you know, that does matter. You know what? Why don't I pull up my let me pull up my Blender. Let me see if I can find this. File, open recent. Yeah, I don't have it right now. But what we can do, we can go into my X here and find my article. Maybe my article will have it. My article should have it. Articles, this, and you should be able to see. Where's my mock cone? Oh, come on. I should be able to at least show you a photo of it. So this is like a photo of what my software does. So it's in 3 dimensions. So it's pretty cool. And maybe I can find, I know I have videos. So let's see if I can pull up my videos here of that thing operating. I know it was in Wolves and Finance. Maybe this is one? No. Where is it? 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 I don't know where it is. I know it's in Wolves and Finance though, because Wolves and Finance really likes that. I can't find it right now. Anyways, let's go back to this. So what is this yellow one? It says the yellow one is the 4940 tone, which I guess is, here we go. Oh, he's saying that's coming from the band. Okay. All right. And then the purple is the microphone explosion. And so my issue with that is, how come we don't hear the exact frequencies for a microphone explosion when this purple hits these microphones? I don't believe that it does, so that's a bit of an issue for me. So let's go back to what he said here. This is from John in DMs just now. It says this was using 2 assumptions. First, the official shooter position, and second, the official projectile velocity released. What is he saying there? Oh, using the official bullet speed from court. Okay. Taking those 2 assumptions, running just the delta from each camera comes up with with different positions and a slightly faster projectile. Okay, I don't know what he's using for his audio analysis, but that's not terribly interesting. So let's proceed, shall we?
That we have a frequency that originates from underneath the tent that aligns with the idea that there was a high order explosive in and around the area of the microphone.
So if we're on American Idol right now and John is coming up to the stage and he's singing a song about why exploding microphone theory is correct, I'm pressing the no button. I'm sorry, because I'm not seeing the evidence and I really wish I could, but all we have is vapor coming out. We just have the vapor, and that's also consistent with this, right? And it can potentially also be consistent maybe with a bullet, but I don't think so, because the vapor that you see in a bullet in like super, super, super slow-mo, it all dissipates before you would see the first normal camera frame. So I do believe that we do have some vapor, and that vapor is inconsistent with the gunshot wound theory, but it's far more consistent with this. Why? Because we have the belly bulge, and the belly bulge is just big enough for this and for this, and it just so happens that it's in the right spot too to cause the shirt movement that we see. But this is not in the right spot, because if we try to go over here, it doesn't work. We try to go over here, it's not right. But if we start down here, move up, then it works. But this, it doesn't work. So anyways, let's go back into here and proceed.
We have to explain the unique phenomenon of the shirt movement because it's multifaceted. We have the original movement of the back of the collar and the expanding gas that's visible on his flesh and his hair and all the
Okay, so here's the issue I have with the expanding gas. If we have expanding gas, but we're capturing that in like a normal camera at a normal frame rate, I heard somewhere that Pettin or PTN Pettin that happens, like the projectile the gas projectiles that comes out of that is like Mach 6 or Mach 7. So that explosion is ridiculously fast. And you should not be able to pick up the vapor from this on one of these normal iPhone cameras, I don't think. Certainly not several frames later. But this stuff, and let me show you exactly just how much stuff you can find on one of these. I think this is at the top of the channel. And now that we have some more people in here, we should play the award show video again. But I think this is the one I wanted to show. Is this the one I want? No, this isn't. No, this is the one I wanted to show. Okay, watch this. You see how much vapor there is? Look at all the vapor. Look at all that vapor. Remember the video that we just saw? I think it's over here. When we look at her chest and we see what appears to be vapor right there, right in this spot right here, that's vapor. Now, you might say, oh, well, in that test, it was this massive white cloud. And we don't see that on Charlie, but every test is different. And, you can control for that. But we have the white cloud, and the lighting and the sunlight matters too. So back to John. Or not this. Let's play the video again, shall we? It's not on this channel yet, but it's on this channel. Actually, let's go to this one, because this one's better, because it has the... So if you want to vote in the award show, you should click this link here. I'll put it in the chat again. Copy link, address, and paste there. You have to subscribe to Try and Prove It. This is not a Try and Prove It broadcast, but I will plug it in any given opportunity. We're going to watch this video for the award show.
In a world full of infighting, an emblem of peace, Kelly Raybon and Jordan Henshaw present the Goldies. Nominated, James May, most likely to be a federal agent. Stu Peters, nominated for Best YouTube Thumbnail. Miss C Social, Needle in a Haystack nomination. Tigger Smelt, nominated for Best Tech Support. And Gary Melton, the Most Valuable Contribution nomination. Accidentally. And, most importantly, you, Corby Hall, Muppet Masher, Via Varma, Trillion, Blake Bednarz, Real Bays, Brandy and Billy, Louisiana Girl, Jesse on Fire, John Bray. Get crunked and listen, Daily Freddo, Charlie's Angels, Baron Coleman, John from Incy, and Wolf.
He didn't like his appearance. He was tweeting about that today, but we might get it fixed for when we air this live on Try and Prove It.
And Wolves in Finance. But wait. You have to subscribe to vote, and vote you shall.
Okay. I'm going to, real fast, though, I want you guys to see how much stuff is actually in that. If I can find it. Where is it? I think it's this one. I want you to see just how much stuff is in here. That's not it. Hold on. File, open recent. Awards trailer. Here it is. Oops. Make this small. So this is how much stuff is in that video. It's not a lot, but it's a lot of sound effects, right? But anyways, so what is, real quick, what is Blake saying right there?
Blake Bednarz.
He's saying Candace Owens makes more money. That's a quote from one of his spaces. But it kind of lines up with the links, with the lip sync. So the reason this is so quick,
Brandy.
I can maybe show you what they actually do. So if I were to extend this over, watch
Billy and Billy, Louisiana.
Wait, hold on. This is what they start doing. This is why their clip is so short.
Louisiana girl.
I didn't want to have them do that, so I just cut it short and I used a speed control on it. But anyways, all right, put that back. And what else can I show you that's interesting? We had like I added a dong effect on this. I don't think I can solo this channel, but it's like a dong effect that I think is pretty cool. Let me shifty that. It's this dong effect. That's pretty cool. I have that at every one of those. But what else can I show you? What else is interesting? Oh, I added some applause over this. So this is like the applause track for like specific entrances, right? So boom. So we have this this applause track. That's just the bass applause. And then we also have that applause track, right? So that's pretty cool. But anything else I should show you? So this is obviously Ben Shapiro. The Goldies. Bed slop, not... Wait. Bed slop, not allowed. Thank you. And this is the backstage area. So I thought that was pretty cool. What else can I show you? You should definitely go ahead and vote for that, for your favorite creators on that show. I will post it back into the chat, the link to go to the YouTube channel post so that you know, so that you're able to subscribe to, I say our, Kelly and I's channel. Try and prove it. There is that link. So subscribe, and then that's when you go vote. Click the link in that post, but only after you subscribe. And again, like I warned you at the beginning of this broadcast, if you don't if you are even thinking about voting and you're not subscribed and you're not intending to subscribe, Santa's not coming to town this year. But anyways, let's go back to John.
The areas around Charlie. And then we have a strange trajectory where we see the microphone clasp kind of take a trajectory across his chest, from his collarbone kind of over to towards his earlobe on the opposite side of his body. And we also see his shirt collar being raised up in a strange fashion. And because we have multiple angles of the event, we can get a depth perception of what exactly the shape of that object that caused his shirt collar to raise up is. We know it's square because we can see a square bulge in the front angles of the recordings. And we know it has to be fairly thin because of the angles that are to Charlie's left clearly show that whatever object caused his shirt collar to raise up was thin. It had a thin profile because it's a very it's not a thick area of shirt that's lifted up around his face. It's a very thin area of shirt. I've made several recreations of that sort of bulge.
Here we go. Hold on. Okay. We got to do the video. I can't. Well, can I do it with audio? We played this video the other night. I think it was last Thursday. Yeah, it would have been last Thursday. And it has a bunch of F-bombs in it. So, fair warning. I'm going to play the F-bombs. I don't really care. I'm in, I still have the, I have the sound effect. Because this StreamYard was my StreamYard, but it's probably not my StreamYard anymore. But I still have... Language! Because I'm in our StreamYard. But let's go ahead and play that video. If I can find it. I should probably get my own StreamYard. That's actually still just my StreamYard. But anyways, let me see if I can find the video. Where's that video? Where's that video? I think someone didn't send it to me. No one sent it to me. I think I just have to scroll down to look for it. Oh, here it is. I found it. Okay, so fair warning. You know what? I can't play it because Kelly's in the chat and I think her kids are watching, so I can't play the F-bombs, unfortunately. So I'm going to turn off the audio. There we go. But we can just play this.
Do what
So what I'm doing here is the more realistic version of what John is doing.
Show you the actual device that's responsible for it. And but I've made shirt that's lifted up around his face. It's a very thin area of shirt. I've made several recreations of.
Okay, so what he's doing here, if that's, I don't have my dowel rod with me right now. I don't have my dowel rod with me. I wish I did. It has to be here somewhere. Maybe I can use a paintbrush. Maybe I can use a paintbrush. But if this is going to come out like this, where does it hit? Let's do this. Where's this going to hit? Is this going to hit on the left side of my neck? It's going to, like, it's hitting on this side. It's not, like, if it's going to come over here, and if it is the width, where is it? Where did the thing go? If this is the width of it coming out over here, then how does it not slice me right there? It's going to slice me right there. It's not going to wait to slice me over here. It's going to slice me over here. And you can, like, do this thing to try to say, oh, it has a line of sight. But, like, come on, man. It's going to slice you right here. Like, what is the path of this thing? The path of this thing is this. It's kind of hard to show it properly. But it's going to slice you right here. It's not going to just somehow skip your Adam's apple and only slice you right there and somehow, like, embed in it. No, it's going to, like, that's how cylinders work. It's just, your neck is a cylinder. It's a cylinder, right? If you're on one side of the cylinder, you're going to hit that side of the cylinder. You're not going to hit the other side of the cylinder. But, you know, he can do his little dinky thing like this. I can maybe even get this magnet to do it. Aha, look at that. Wow. You can do this little dinky thing. But like it's striking right here, right? So I don't really know what we're talking about, man. Let's go back to this.
Of that sort of
and turn the audio back on.
When I first started this,
I did not mean to hit that.
reconciling.
Oh no, we lost our spot. Does anyone remember where we were? Where were we? Probably over here somewhere.
We're inside of the Rogue microphone case. And so obviously, whatever trajectory the fragmentation took, the components inside the microphone case, most likely
Oh, here it is.
that sort of bulge. But I would like to show you the actual device that's responsible for it. And we know that it's responsible for it, not only because it's the exact shape of the bulge that we see, but there's frames of video where we see the object actually sticking out from the shirt collar. And the object's unique in a few different ways. It's unique in that it has a very high contrast color to the warm flesh of his neck and the white shirt that he was wearing. And it also has circuitry on it. So we can see the geometric rectangular and square shapes on the actual object that's sticking out from his shirt. And this is that object right here. So we can clearly see it, that, you know, it's a very unique shape. It has a very unique texture. And that is the object that basically is caught in his shirt collar and lifts up, and we see the edge of it sticking out. And there's many great examples of this. We have 2 cameras that were in the front of Charlie that record it, where you can clearly see it. We can take spectral analysis and pick out the blue.
Oh, so John, I don't know that he's watching the stream, but he just sent me a .py. So let's open the .py. His velocity solve .py. Let's open that with VS Code. let's see what this stuff is. This is some boring stuff, but that's okay. All right, let's just take a very quick look at this here. All right, velocity solve.pi recovers projectile velocity from crack to bang deltas. I don't know how you can do that. Delta is measured entirely within each recording, so it needs no cross-camera sync and survives clipping AGC and lossy codecs. Why would there... Okay. Why 3 cameras can say something about deceleration. The Mach reaching the observer is generated at the point. Okay, along the flight path. Observers at different perpendicular offsets are reached by wavelets. Yeah. Shed at different points along the trajectory. Correct. So each camera samples the local velocity at its own S star. That is correct. So how are you going to fix that? Models, constant velocity, quadratic drag. Why are we dealing with drag? I mean, okay. For model B, the arrival time is integrated numerically. Okay. But what is your solution here? What is your solution to them not being directly along the bullet's path? Why 3 cameras can say something about deceleration? I don't understand what is your solution. You're telling me this is the problem, and I agree, and this is why I would immediately tell you that this velocity solve.pi shouldn't work. But what is your solution? So let's see if we can find the solution. Speed of sound 343. Okay. Where is our... We need to put this in meters or whatever. You cannot have just 343. Is this meters per second? Is this yards per second, feet per second? We need units here, please. But anyways, Canon XA55, UV review video, 40 kilohertz PCM. All right, build scene. What are we building a scene in exactly? Is this in Blender? No, this is not in Blender. We're not importing BitB. Okay. Let's go to the bottom and see what our call stack is. Yeah. No call stack. Okay. We just have a main function. All right. Why are we not using these variables? We're not using these variables. So this is not human read. I would imagine that this would be AI generated just because of that, because you're going to immediately see that those are not being used. Okay, measure deltas and where each camera samples the flight path. You don't know the flight path, though. You don't know the flight path. So how on earth, where are you feeding in? You don't know the flight path. So you would have to assume the flight path. So that should be at the top in big letter. You can't do big letters in code, but like with its own equals, top and bottom. This assumes we already know the flight path. So yeah, if you already know the flight path, then you can absolutely calculate this. I don't know if this is being calculated properly, but why do we have all these prints here, man? It makes it impossible to read. Let's at least do this, yeah? There's some housekeeping. That's fine. Thank you. That's much better. Profile likelihood for V. Okay, anyways, that's enough of that. Like the key takeaway here is this code assumes you already know the flight profile. All right.
Solder mask that's on this circuit board, and you can also map the shape of it to see that it's the exact ratio and size of this circuit board. So that is one mystery that's solved, that no one's really clearly tried to explain what that object is that caused the shirt collar to raise up. But it leads to more questions, and it offers more explanations to the other phenomenon that we witnessed, the case bulge disappearing and the fragmentation escaping out from underneath this shirt. So when we take into account that we have evidence that the case suffered catastrophic failure, the next thing we must...
Okay, so how did we determine that that came from the exploding mic? If it were actually an exploding mic, then I would expect that everyone is going to do everything they can to... Okay, well, here's the first thing. Okay, it's an exploding microphone. It's an exploding microphone. Someone rigged it. Someone got into the supply chain at Rode, and they put that on him, and Brian Harple pressed the detonator. Okay. So you clean up the glass in the car. You clean up the glass, right? So you cleaned up the glass and that doesn't exist anymore. No, it's probably from a broken car window or from a broken phone screen or something like that. We have no way of knowing that that came from this. And this is all of the glass from mine. That's not a lot of glass. It's really not. And I feel like the stuff in that vehicle is a lot more than that. So that's problem number one. But, the other thing is, okay, say that the security team is not in on it. The other issue is, where did John get those pictures? I think that's from his vehicle. I think all of these are his photos. This one might be the one from Utah. Oh, you can't see what I'm pointing at. I think this is John's. I think this is John's, but I think this is the real one from Utah. But what I was saying was, okay, say the security team is not in on it. Okay, well, now they're telling the world that he was killed by an exploding microphone. Okay, so the security team must be in on it, right? Okay, now they clean up the glass, right? So, but then you wouldn't even kill him with an exploding... Okay, so the security team is in on it. So how are they going to kill him? Well, they're going to kill him in his sleep. They're going to get into some kind of car accident where somehow Charlie's the only one who dies. Well, that might not work. But you slip something into his water. There's so many different ways to kill him that are so much easier than this. You don't do it at UVU in front of 3,000 people with an exploding microphone. The pager attacks, why did they use pagers for those people? They used pagers for those people because they were deep in enemy territory. They did not have direct access to them. And, you don't have people directly around those targets. And you have no access to those targets. But if exploding microphone theory is true, then it just doesn't make any sense. Like, the exploding microphone is a tool you use for someone you do not have direct access to. So that means that the security team is not in on it. But if the security team were not in on it, then they tell the world that he was killed by an exploding microphone and that this glass is from the microphone. But they're not. So that means that they are in on it. But if they are in on it, then they don't choose this weapon. They get a guy on a roof with a gun. And it's as simple as that.
To reconcile is what happened to the objects that were inside of the rogue microphone case. And so obviously, whatever trajectory the fragmentation took, the components inside the microphone case most likely took a similar trajectory. And we have evidence of that by what we just reviewed, the shirt collar being raised up by the circuit board. But that leads you to the next question is, well, is anything connected to the circuit board? And obviously the circuit board has to be powered by something, and this is a wireless device, so there's a lithium ion battery that's connected to the circuit board through a wire that's probably about an inch long, just a hair under an inch long. And so if the circuit board was ejected from the microphone case when it suffered failure, the very next thing that would follow it would be the battery, and it would have to follow a similar trajectory as the circuit board. And we've established that the circuit board passed right in front of his neck and caught in his shirt collar. So now we have a clear explanation.
Okay. Spanky the spider monkey, I think. This is another belly bulge photo. Thank you. Appreciate it. But that's the same as this one over here. So we know that there was some kind of belly bulge going on, which is where I place my doohickey-majiggy. So when John says that there is nothing else under the shirt apart from the microphone and the pendant, that's simply not the case.
explanation of why we only see the wound after the shirt collar falls back down. Once the circuit board has kind of ran out of momentum and the tensile strength of the shirt pulls it back down underneath the shirt and it falls down underneath Charlie's shirt, then we're able to see a strange rectangular like wound that seems to have a very delayed bleed.
He says it's rectangular. I disagree. I made a graphic on that a while ago. Let me see if I can find my graphic on that. Can I find my graphic on that real fast? Probably not. But I made a graphic on that a while ago that's like it's not actually circular. Not that it really matters, but let me see if I can find it. Maybe it's even in my PowerPoint. So that's where I built it. But I do not think that the wound is square. I think there's maybe one frame where it's kind of square, but in general, it's not square. In general, it is circular. But I don't want to pull that up right now because I'll probably get censored and banned. Oh, here it is. I found it. Okay. You know that video? That's right. It goes in the square hole. Okay, so that's basically what this is. So this is the wound. This shape is maintained pretty consistently across frames, but there are a few frames that look a little bit more rectangular, but most of them look like this. So does it go in the circle hole or does it go in the square hole? John Bray says, that's right, it goes in the square hole. But it's circular, at least for most of the frames.
Bleeding pattern. And
not that really matters, though.
Now we have an explanation for that. Understanding that the case failed, suffered catastrophic failure, sent fragmentation across Charlie's chest. The circuit board was ejected from that failed case, took the trajectory.
Yeah, so if this circuit board were ejected from this, how does this get ejected from this, but this is still intact? We know it's intact because we can still see the shape of it under the shirt. So the microphone would be mounted kind of like this, right? Kind of like this. Flat against the chest, more or less. So if the circuit board were to be expelled, it's going to be expelled directly into the chest, not perpendicular to the chest.
Across Charlie's chest, right past his throat. And now we know the battery was connected to that circuit board, and a rectangular wound that's the exact shape and size as the battery appears on his neck after the circuit board falls underneath Charlie's shirt. So now we have the explanation for 3 of the unique phenomenon that have not any explanation from the official narrative of a 30-6 impact.
But from fake death, though, we do have an explanation for that. Because when you cut a hole in a prosthetic with a pendant gun, you're probably going to expect to see a pretty weird shaped hole. So that's also explained by fake death theory. So the takeaway from this whole episode tonight, of this whole stream tonight, is basically all of the evidence John Bray has for exploding microphone theory. It also applies to fake death theory, and arguably much better to fake death theory.
The shirt collar raising up before we see the...
Okay, how on earth is this being caused by something over here? It's being caused by the belly bulge.
Wound doesn't make any sense because their explanation would be the shirt collar was raised up by the cavitation of the impact, which would mean that we would need to see the impact wound before we see the cavitation. So the shirt collar would need to follow the neck wound, not precede it. And then we don't see any blood on the shirt. So for us to have a high velocity impact to the area of the neck that has jugular veins, carotid arteries, we would see blood going everywhere. And he had a white shirt on, so we would immediately see blood almost the same time we start to see cavitation, and we don't. It's a very delayed bleeding, 0.44 seconds before we see bleeding from the neck wound.
Okay, John says fix one assumption at a time, velocity first. Impossible. You cannot. That is impossible with that code. the code assumes flight path and must assume flight path.
And then the nature of the wound itself, it doesn't have even cavitation. We should see a 30x cavitation of the size of projectile. So if it was a 30 caliber projectile, we should.
I think that's Zero Gaming, aerospace engineer here. I think it's possible that the shock wave and preceding reflection into an expansion wave. Okay, shock wave and preceding reflection into an expansion wave. Okay, hold on. Oh, you're not talking about the audio. You're talking about... I strongly disagree, because we have videos of people shooting stuff and there's no disturbance in the air when you have shirts. But what we see is this. And I say that that is because we have something like this and something like this shooting a pendant into a prosthetic to cut a prosthetic. That the shockwave of what? What shockwave? And preceding reflection into an expansion wave. I guess if I understood more about rockets, I would maybe understand what exactly you're talking about there. But I don't understand exactly what you're talking about there. I would need to see that demonstrated for me to understand what that means. When you're talking about shockwave reflecting into an expansion wave, I don't know.
See, 30 times that and an even cavitation around the wound area. And we don't see any of that. We see a very, linear path of kind of flesh deformation.
He says, or I think it's a he, yeah. They say projectile shockwave. So the Mach cone? I think that means the Mach cone. But I don't necessarily know that, hold on. I just code reviewed it live. Projectile shockwave. So that's the Mach cone, I think, right? I don't see how a Mach cone is going to cause the shirt to do this. And it's especially not going to cause the shirt to do that, which it did as well.
I wouldn't call it cavitation. It's a slow deformation, and the wound seems to be more along the lines of a medium velocity blunt impact. Exactly what we would expect from the trajectory we see the circuit board take. And we know that the battery is connected to the circuit board. So the battery would be traveling the same speed as the circuit board, and it would be able to have just enough momentum to penetrate around 3 centimeters into Charlie's neck. So, we're looking at like the speed of like a hunting slingshot, something along those lines. And so that sort of trajectory would cause trauma to his neck, but it wouldn't penetrate deeply. And so the battery would be left just slightly under the surface of his neck. It would penetrate deep enough to sever his jugular veins and cause damage to the arteries behind it, but it wouldn't embed itself permanently inside of his neck. And we know that because we see the battery fall out of the wound shortly thereafter. We see it fall out of the wound, fall in front of his shirt, and fall to the ground. And this is captured 3 different angles of cameras.
Okay. I wasn't actually listening to John right there. I don't think he said anything terribly important. Labea Anima says, I sent a super chat about your shirt experiment to Didi Got a Podcast today. He agrees and is impressed by your theory and work. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate it. I think most people who are honest, who see that work, would be impressed by it. Chewbacca says, share your cavitation video. I think it was the second to last in the field test back in May. It was crazy how you made your neck suddenly appear fat because of the way the shirt acted in the test. Most of those tests were done on the mannequin, but I think there's maybe one that he was trying to play it for his live audience, but what? Why didn't he play it for his live audience? They're everywhere. Maybe it was this one? I don't think it was this one. This was pretty cool, though. See how it looks like it's originating at the microphone? You see that? That's pretty cool. But I don't think this is the expansion one. I don't know where that one is right now. He says he couldn't, or they say he couldn't get it to play. Speaking of Didi Got a Podcast, maybe I should check my message requests. Let me check my message requests. Requests. No, I don't have any message requests from him. That's all right though. I think it's 0. I don't know if it's 0 or maybe it's 0. Initially, it will create a pressure force pushing the shirt into his chest. I don't. Maybe a little bit, but not by a lot, I don't think. But when a shock or like it's just sound. It's just sound. It's like compressed sound. Like there's a little bit of movement that might happen, but not like a lot, I don't think. They say, but when a shock reflects and bounces off a surface, it will create an expansion wave, negative pressure. I don't know, man. I would need to see that demonstrated. I've seen people try to demonstrate that, but it doesn't work. I don't think that these like acoustic pressure waves are nearly enough to get that. It's just not enough for this. I don't think. But I would need to see that demonstrated. But thank you for the input.
Capture it in its trajectory from impacting the neck to falling to the ground. And we see other components of the microphone fall to the ground also. So again, we have now an explanation for all of the unexplained phenomenon that we see in and around that tent, all centered around the failure of the Rogue microphone case. Just to go over it.
John just sent me another Python script. Let's see what this is real fast. Okay. I thought this was the same one, but it's different. So let's see what this is. UVU velocity.py. Open with ES code. All right, so velocity solve.py. Okay, so this should be velocity underscore UVU, I think. Maybe not. I don't know. All right. Can you see this right now? Yeah, you can see this. Okay. So projectile velocity from the 21 recorder. What's the 21 recorder? Crack boom data set. Python EVU velocity.py. Why do we what? What is this? I don't know. What is taken from the spreadsheet? Only measurement CP def. What is not? What on earth is this? What spreadsheet? I don't know what spreadsheet this is. Can it not just be something like this? Why does it need to be a spreadsheet? What it just says the spreadsheet from the 21 recorder crack boom data set. I guess this is what is taken. Projectile velocity. What is not taken? VC VB target. Spreadsheet's crack boom formula is correct and is reproduced here. Is algebraically identical to minimizing. Over the emissions point, like deceleration matters. I don't know what this is talking about. Do we have where's our main function or our call stack or? Cool, no, all right, here's our main. Physics check, all right, what is self-test? Is that in here? Self-test. Okay, so that's just a test, all right, whatever. Can we get all these prints out of here? I don't understand why we need, this is literally all just print statements. Can we not just, okay, come on, man. We got to get all these print statements out of here. Like this does not need to be in the main function. So X and def print main prints. And do we need to pass anything into it? I don't think so. And paste. Or I guess we do need some stuff. We need wait. No, we don't need stuff. We don't need any stuff. So we're just going to call this function now and get all this shit out of our main function. You see how cool this is? You see that? Oh, hold on. What happened to these? Why are these not being used anymore? Where's DOF? I guess those weren't being used. All right, anyway. So we just deleted all that stuff. So like, where's your actual logic, man? I need to see the logic. I think this is literally all just print statements. This is literally all just print statements. Which okay, maybe that is, I don't know. Maybe this doesn't, I do not like the structure of this. I'm getting confused by the structure. I don't like the structure. That's just my personal gripe. All right, let's look at the test to try to figure out what this is doing. Let's look at the test. All right, worst equals 0.04 BHVB. And all right, what are these magic numbers? What are these magic numbers? What are these magic numbers? These need to be named constants. I don't know, guys. I don't know what these numbers are. Yeah, we have magic numbers in here. I don't know what the self-test is doing if I don't know what those magic numbers are. So, bit. I'm not going to try to figure out. I don't know. I don't know what this is doing. I would have to take some more time with it. But you guys don't know what I'm looking at most likely. So let's go back to John, shall we?
One more time to make sure everyone understands the details. We witnessed the microphone that was underneath Charlie's right collarbone suffer catastrophic failure as soon as the necklace snaps and takes its trajectory up and over his head. We know this because we see the movement of the magnetic clasp take 90-degree turns and fold over on itself, which would...
Okay, so watch my shirt carefully. Watch my shirt carefully. If I lift this part of my thing, you see what happens to the mic? You see how it gets messed up like that? You see how I actually disappeared the F in freedom? You see that? Kelly? I don't think Kelly's in here anymore. But you see how I got rid of the F for freedom? Just by, yeah, I don't think Kelly's here anymore. But you see how I got rid of the F for freedom? Just by accident? When we start right here, like this, what do we have? Like when I move my shirt, when this is the origin of shirt deformation, moving up like this, or if it's more like right here, you see how close the microphone, how much the microphone moves towards my neck? It's just moving with the rest of the shirt, right? It's just moving with the rest of the shirt, and that's how we get the F for freedom to disappear. It goes like this. And then I didn't get it to happen that time, but I got it to happen 2 seconds ago. Boom, the microphone goes over there. Oh, and I just got the F for freedom to disappear. So like there's nothing here, man.
Wouldn't be possible if the bulk of the 44 by 40.
John says he has the StreamYard link. I wish he would come in, but he just sent me the, what did he send me? I guess this is the spreadsheet referenced in the comment. I guess so. I don't know. I guess he's listening to the stream. I wish he would come in because he does have the link to it.
45 by 18 millimeter microphone case was still attached to it underneath Charlie's shirt. We see fragmentation from the case escaping from underneath the shirt, taking the same trajectory that we see the circuit board later raise his collar up around his face and fall.
If the circuit board were to lift his collar, have to start under here. First of all, this whole thing would be destroyed, so we would not have the F for freedom disappearing like this, Or did I do it right? I don't even know if I did it right. I don't know. Like, I have to do this to get the F for freedom to disappear. I have to do this. Can I get it to work? No. Well, almost got it. Hold on, let me try this again. I'm going to try to do this. Can I get the F? Oh, I got the F to almost disappear. Oh, the F disappeared. Let's try it again. And I might not even have the mic in the exact right position either. Almost got it to disappear. Nope, not that time. Oh, almost. But the important thing here is all of the energy is moving directly up. It's not quite working though. But this is a little bit too big on me too, is another issue here.
All back underneath his shirt, and also the same trajectory.
Oh, it's starting off. Hold on. It's starting off kind of like, hold on, let me get this back on perfectly. So it'll probably be like that. And kind of like that, probably. And it's already kind of out that way. So now, let me do this again. So it's already kind of like that. So, oh, that didn't work. No, it's kind of like this. Kind of like that. That's pretty close, right? All right, you can't see. I need a better view here. But that's basically what it looks like on Charlie, like the moment before. So, okay, you almost had the F disappear. F almost disappears. Not quite, though. Yes, this is a Carhartt 4-Sun Defender ordered through Graphic Goat. And, you know, it has the goat logo in the back. So you know. Like Charlie's did. Oh, I got the F to disappear. Haha, I did it. Yeah. So.
Up around his face and fall back underneath his shirt, and also the same trajectory that explains the rectangular neck wound that was caused by the battery attached to the circuit board that appears on his neck. So we take those things into account. Now we have an explanation for why the security was walking around, kicking the grass, looking for objects on the ground. We have an explanation for why the FBI came and dug up the grass and the soil from underneath the tent. And we have an explanation for why the SUV was disposed of, auctioned with the seats and the carpet pulled out. All of these things contained fragmentation.
Why don't you just vacuum up the glass, though? Why do you need to get rid of the whole... Why do you need to strip down the entire vehicle when all you have... Okay, hold on. You're making the case that they were so worried about any fragmentation being left in the van afterwards that they stripped down the entire van like this. Like what, a month afterwards? A couple weeks afterwards? But in the days immediately afterwards, oh, they just left all their stuff in there. No care in the world whatsoever. How come they didn't care the day of? How come they didn't care a couple days later? How come they only cared so much like a month later or whenever this photo was taken?
From the microphone, which had been able to be tested and tested positive for explosive residue. And it also gave the explanation for the shirt collar movement and the neck wound. None of those details coming to light would allow the official narrative to survive. So they had to be taken care of right away. And that's why we see the haste of which they handled these things. And we didn't have clear evidence of the explanation of the damage that would be caused to Charlie from this event. But now that's come to light also. So now we have the explanation of how Charlie would end up at a hospital and no one see these injuries. We have pictures of Charlie pulled away from the event where we see clearly he has trauma to parts of his chest, which can't be explained by a 30-06 impact.
That's just blood, man.
Trauma to
That's just blood.
Parts of his chest, which can't be explained by a 30-06 impact. We have the neck wound, which we witnessed, display no characteristics of a high velocity.
Zero. That's just an acoustic shockwave. It's acoustic. That's not enough to do this. It's not enough to do that. Like, if that were the case, when you have a Falcon 9 coming back and it has the two Mach cones coming off of it, you would see like all this splashing in the water or something. But it doesn't. And it would, like, when you said you were aerospace engineer. When the booster comes back to Starbase, the Starship booster, that's going to destroy the whole launch pad, right? If the acoustic shockwave, whatever, was that powerful. It's not, I don't think. It's like an acoustic Mach cone is not enough to do that. I don't think. If it is, I would need to see it demonstrated.
The impact, especially from a 30-06. We have the object that caused the medium velocity blunt impact to his neck falling out of the wound, videoed on 3 different cameras falling to the ground. And now we know why there was so much strangeness in and around the people that were in the SUV with Charlie to the hospital. They're all witnessed things that can't be explained by the official narrative. To recap,
I see this a lot. People, let me give you a better. I see this a lot. People say, "Oh, exploding microphone theory explains a lot more than the federal narrative, therefore exploding microphone theory." That doesn't mean that exploding microphone theory is true, though. I would need to see. I keep going back to my favorite word is demonstrate. I would need to see that demonstrated. Okay, I would need to see it demonstrated. Go look up the pressure ratio of a Mach 2 plus shockwave. I would need to see it demonstrated. I've seen people try to demonstrate it before, and it did. There's like a little flutter, and that was it. Shooting a 30-06 right by a shirt on a dummy, and the shirt doesn't move. So I would need to see that demonstrated.
All we need to know about the event to understand that the official narrative is a lie is that we have no explanation for how the necklace breaks, how the microphone case is catastrophically fails, sending fragments flying away from Charlie and being drugged to the SUV.
The microphone case does not catastrophically fail. It still has its structure enough to cause... Hold up. It still has enough structure to disappear the F in freedom, like I just demonstrated I could do by doing this. I almost got it that time. But it did not catastrophic. The microphone body did not catastrophically fail. We still see the outline of it under the shirt.
Where Charlie's shirt was most likely cut off. We have no explanation for why the neck wound is rectangular and has delayed bleeding and no characteristics of a high velocity impact. We have no explanation for the rectangular object we see falling out of the wound that precedes the bleeding that we see, that is bleeding, that has no pulse, that shows that Charlie was in full cardiac arrest before the blood even starts to...
All right, I think that's enough. We're at 2 hours, 20 minutes here. My final thoughts on this are that literally his entire argument applies better to the fake death theory. So that's all I have for tonight. Thanks everyone for coming on. And my final thoughts to John, and I'll DM him this because I don't know that he's watching. Maybe he'll let me know if he's watching so I won't have to type it. But my final thoughts to him are literally every single piece of evidence you're presenting in support of exploding microphone theory also supports faked death theory, but it supports fake death theory much better because we have the belly bulge photo, which means we can put stuff like this on the belly, which happens to be in the right spot to cause this. Not that outro video. All right. Good night, bye. Good night, guys. Thank you.